15. So number 15 on your review unit 3. Alright, number 15 says to find the slope of each of the information. So we have the first thing, what you want to do is you always want to get y by itself. So I'm going to divide by 5. And I have y is equal to 3. If you have y equals something when you're graphing, you want to pass through the x or y axes. Which one is it? The y axes. So we have 1, 2, 3, and we're passing through the y axes. So then it says, well, what's the slope? You either have to memorize that this is 0, or you can pick 2 points on it. So if I pick the point here, this point right there would be 0, 3. And then maybe this point would be 1, 3. But you can definitely memorize that it is the 0. Then you would go, and your y is on the top, so you go 3 minus 3, and then over 1 minus 0. So 3 minus 3 is 0 over 1, which is 0. Questions on 15?
You just say will be 0.
Yes. Yeah, but since the person asked for that one, I was thinking that maybe they didn't know that if it's a like that would be 0. But yeah, as soon as you know it's y equals 3, if you know it without even graphing it, you could say 0. If you have to graph it, personally I graph it just to see, because I know if it's up and down it's undefined. If it's this way, it's 0, meaning that there's a 0 incline. Yep. All right. Number 30. We're going to go with those. All right. I'm going to actually start with number 30, because 30 is, Hannah, 30 is a singular one. So what happens is it says that 5 goes into G. So 5 is going into the x of G. So instead of writing x's, I'm going to literally go 3 parenthesis squared minus 2 parenthesis. First of all, did you see where I got that and why I chose that one? Because since this is G, I'm pulling G down, and all I did instead of writing x's, I put parentheses where x's are. Then it says to put the 5 in for my x's. So I'm going to put 5s in there. And then what do I got to do? So I'm going to square this. 5 squared is 25 times 3. And then on this side I have 2 times 5, which is 10. Three times 25 is 75. Minus 10 gives me a 65. Okay. When you have a number like 23 or 32, sorry. When you have a number like this, when there's g of f of 3, you always do the innermost first. So I'm going to write down what f is. F says that it's negative x plus 5. See that? So I'm going to go negative, and instead of x, I'm putting parentheses, plus 5. Then I'm going to put my 3 in where my x's was. So negative 3 plus 5 gives me 2. So f of 3 equals 2. Okay. Bringing down my g of, see how it says g of f of 3? Now instead of f of 3 equals what? 2. So now I'm going to put in my 2 in for my x value of x. So I have my g says that it is 3 parenthesis squared minus 2 parenthesis. Right? Do you see how that's the exact same thing? Okay. Then we're just putting my 2 inside it. So I have 2 squared gives me 4 times 3 minus 2 times 2 is 4. So I have 12 minus 4 gives me 8. Question on that? All right. When you have f of g of x, you're going to go and say f of, what is g of x equal? What does g of x equal? You see that? So you're going to put in 3x squared minus 2x. Now it says to put all of this in for my x of f. So I'm going to bring down f of x, which is negative parenthesis plus 5. I'm going to put this in here, so I'm going to go 3x squared minus 2x. And now I just have to do you know what this negative can really be? It's like negative 1. So negative 1 times 3x squared gives me a negative 3x squared. A negative and a negative make a positive. 2x plus 5. Alright, the same concept, guys, because I just want to make sure, because the other way is a little bit harder. We should actually try it, whether you're there or not. I think everyone should try to do, with me, do g of f of x. Because this one's the harder one, and we might as well practice. So I want everyone to stop what you're doing, and I want you to try g of f of x, and remember that f of x equals negative x plus 5, and g of x equals 3x squared minus 2x. Let's make sure we know how to do it that way too. Nick, I want you guys to try this one because it's not on the paper. You can scrap paper, or if you find room that you can put it somewhere. But now remember that all of these are probably going to be worth 5 points. So if you get to the first step, I'll give you 1 point. What is my first step? Go g of, what is f of x? Negative x plus 5, right? So, because f of x is negative x plus 5. So that's your first step. What's my second step? Kelsey, what's my next step on this?
For that one?
Mm-hmm. What am I going to do next? Where am I putting this?
You're going to put that where the x is in the f formula, so it's going to be negative.
Into g, right?
Yeah.
No, into g.
Yes.
Yep. All right, so into g. So g, remember, that means it's 3 parenthesis your x squared minus 2 parenthesis. Because you're putting this in for that parenthesis. So we're going negative x plus 5 and then negative x plus 5. It's going in for that x value.
You times it all by 3.
All right, not yet. We can't. We gotta do something first. This is our next step, and that's why it's hard, because you have to remember, how do we do that part right there?
Square it. You put it's plus
So it's, remember, it's negative x plus 5 times negative x plus 5 minus, now this you could distribute, we can distribute this side if we want to. Negative 2 times negative x is, negative's a positive 2x. Like, people don't know I'm in school. Let's see who it is. It's Mr. Clapper. Hello? I think he doesn't know he just called me.
You should go over there and say something.
I'll go over there and say something.
No, but well, tell him that Mr. Clapper just got YouTubed.
Dylan, you should go over there.
I'll go over there right now.
All right. All right. So we have here, we have our first and outer. So we have negative x times negative is positive, x squared. Negative x times 5 gives me a negative 5x. I told we wanted to do the opposite, so it's one that I made up. Inner is negative 5x. Outer is 25. Plus 2x minus 10. And bringing down that 3. Biggest thing is on your test tomorrow, just make sure if you get that square, you put them 2 times. That's the biggest thing on this way. Now, to clean it up, we have 3 times x squared. What's this right there? Negative 10x plus 25 plus 2x minus 10. Couple more. We got a couple more lines that we got to go. Yep. So we have 3x squared, because I'm distributing, minus 30x plus 75 plus 2x minus 10, because you distribute it all the way to that one, right?
You plus the 2x plus the negative 30.
Yep. So we got 3x squared negative 28x plus 65.
And then, can you do number 34?
Yep. All right. So, where's my line? All right. So that gives you. So, what number? Kelsey?
34.
34. All right. Oh, we did 34.
No, I wasn't here when we did
Okay.
34.
Well, yep. In a little bit then. Okay. Number 5. 5. Those groups. All right. What do you say?
That's hilarious.
Did you tell him he was YouTubed? Good. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. Domain. Oh, Dylan, I think you asked for domains, right?
Oh, I didn't.
No. Who asked for domains?
It was easy.
Oh, okay. Domain, all you have to do with this section is say, is there a fraction? Is x on the bottom? No. If there's no fraction and there's no x on the bottom, it's all real. All right? If there is a fraction, what can't you have when you have a fraction? You can't divide by 0, right? Okay, yeah, you can't, like in your calculator, go really quickly and go 1 divided by 0. What does it say? Error. Yep. So, yeah, that you cannot do. You cannot divide by negative or by 0. So, it's all real except x cannot equal. What could you put in there to make that 0? 0, right? What could you put in? What could you put in for that to make this 0? 2. All right. So now this would be all real numbers except -3, negative 3, and 7. Oh, and you can't see that. Because you have to look to say what just makes that 0 and what makes that 0. So negative 3 and 7. Make sense? Okay. Any other? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I need you guys to watch this for a second because I accepted a lot of things on your quiz. On this, the first thing when you're finding out if it is a function and explain, I want all eyes and ears because it's important because I will mark it wrong tomorrow if you write it wrong. I accept a lot of things on your quiz, but because I'm going to make sure you know what I want, I will mark it wrong if you don't say it this way. All right. First of all, a lot of you said that your x is repeated and you all said that this is not a function, which is right because x repeats with different y's. Now, some of you said, so this is what a perfect answer would be. Some of you said that for every x there is one y, but that's not true. I know that's what you were stating the rule. For every x there is supposed to be one y. So if you wrote in there that for every x there's supposed to be one y, but in this case there's not, or if you say for every x there's multiple y's, that would work. But if you state tomorrow on your test it's not a function because for every x there is one y, it's not true because that's not even true.
No, it's just the domain.
It's because your domain repeats with different y's. But I could put in the point. If I took this out and I put in the point 0, 1, this repeats. So you can't say the domain repeats. You have to say the domain repeats with different y's, or that for every x there is a different y. Yes.
What if you say the domain repeats and the range is different?
The range is different with that one, that repeats. Yeah. But if you want to say the domain repeats with different y's or different ranges, if you want to, yeah. But the biggest thing is you can't just say the domain repeats because this could repeat, and if I put in that repeated, but it's the same point. So the thing is, it has to say with different y's. Does that make sense? Yep. Yep. All right. So on this one, it says we have negative 3, negative 1, 1, and 3. So this one you could say, yes, it's a function, and x's don't repeat. And that could be a true thing. Because the x's don't repeat, you don't even have to worry about worry about the y values. Does that make sense? And you guys did wonderful on these. Remember that if it passes the vertical line test. So this one passes, so yes, it passes vertical line test. No, it fails vertical line test.
Wait, so for 1, I can't put no because 0 is repeated.
You can say 0 is repeated with two different. You could say 0 is repeated with 1 and 5, but don't just say 0 is repeated. Like extend it.
Okay.
Like because just repeating it, that doesn't tell me enough.
Okay.
Does that make
You just have to go into
a little bit just a little bit more? Yep. I just wanted just a little bit more because because what I'm trying to say is I could write that and that would work. So that's why you can't just stop there. Does that make sense? You can't just say, well, 0 is repeated. You have to say 0 is repeated with different y's values or with different, or state the y values or something. But just repeated doesn't tell you that it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any of the finding the equation? Anybody need any of the finding the equation ones? Yep, and all of those you would go y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. If you have a slope, say my slope is, we're going to do this one, say my slope is negative 1/2. What is my parallel slope?
Parallel slope, negative 1/2.
Is negative 1/2. What is my perpendicular slope? 2 or 2 over 1. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Is it possible to have like
Thinking.
goals, like the perpendicular line slope and the regular line slope, and neither of them be a fraction? So,
No. Because because it has to equal to 1. Well, yeah, 1. But it could be 1 and -1. Your slope could be 1 and your perpendicular could be -1. Yep. So that would be the only case. Yep. Yep. All right. Any others? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have a graphing calculator? When you have your no, you don't need one. But when you have a graphing calculator, let me shut this off for a second, the stat plot. If you go to, anytime you see this, ladies and gentlemen, if you see 2x squared minus 3, class, what do you have to think about when you see x squared?
parabola.
The parabola, a u. So when you graph that,
Going to the line.
zoom standard, always zoom standard, 6. So when you graph that, make sure you get both of them. All right. When you have the absolute value signs, what should you think of? A V. So you have your negative absolute values under math of x plus, and I graph that. All right. Make sure you have that V. Is this linear?
No.
No. Is this linear? No. Remember, linears are lines. So you're talking these two are linear. Yup, this is a V, and that's a parabola, which is nonlinear. All right, and the last thing I will do then for you is 34, just in case you need it.
Can you do 35 by any chance?
Yep, I sure can. Anybody need 34? Because 35 is about the same stuff. So, all right. The first thing, when you are doing 34 and 35, the biggest thing that you want to do is on 34 you are only given 2 points. On this, what you're going to do is you're going to pick 2 of them. So because it's data points. So do you know how to graph it? Do you know how to graph this? So the first thing I do is I have 5 to 32,
Yeah.
right?
Go by 5.
And so I'm going to go by 5s, but I'm going to actually go by 5s every other one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and then going up, I'm going to step by 10s. All right? So I have 10, 20, 30. I'm going to go 10 there, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, so basically, Lincoln, all you're doing on this then is going 5 and 75. So you're just plotting the points. $15 and 130. 25 and 175. And 200, or 30 and 200.
Then you just make a line generally.
Yep, and so then you're going to make a line. Because these are so darn close, it doesn't really matter where your line really is. I'm going to go like this. Whoops. Okay. All right. So now what I have is I'm going to take these 2 points and use it. And now it's going to look just like 34, how you would do 34. I'll tell you, you two better get a good grade tomorrow, because don't think I don't see you guys. And I'm trying really hard to ignore you because I'm trying to teach. Just so you know, you are distracting me. All right, with that said and done. Anyways, 35. So I'm going to pick these points. So I'm going to pick the point 575. Okay, and then 15 and 130. Right? Do you see how I got these two?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got
Now all you have to do is do the equation. When you have 2 points, and this is multiple times in the test, when you have 2 points and you're finding an equation of a line, what's my first thing? Class, if you have 2 points and you're gonna find the slope. Yep. 130 minus 75.
x2 minus x1.
Okay. All right. So then you get 55 over 10, which is 5.5. Now, when you are doing a story problem and you're going to use it to predict, you can use a slope as a decimal because we're not using it to graph anything. So then we do our y minus y1, so 75 is equal to my slope 5.5 times x minus 5, right? Then you would distribute. So I have y equals 5.5x. This times that gives me a negative 27.5 plus 75. I'm bringing it to the other side. Yep. Yep. Because it's subtracted, so you always do the opposite sign. Because you would add 75 to both sides. How would you get 75 to the other side? Add it. Yep. Okay. Combining like terms, I have y is equal to 5.5x plus 7.5. Alright, then it says to use this to predict after 8 minutes. Remember, minutes is my x values. So I'm just going to put 8 in for my x, Lincoln. So I'm going to go y equals 5.5 times 8 plus 47.5 equals 91.5. Oh. Alright. So that is degrees. Then it says, well, when will it be 60 degrees? So you're going to take and put 60 degrees in for your y and solve for x. 5.5x plus 7.5. Now how am I going to solve for x? Subtract 47 from both sides. So this is 12.5 is equal to 5.5x. Divide by 5.5. So x 2.27.
Thank you.
Yep. And that is exactly how you do 34.
Okay.
So exactly the same way.
According to the story problem.
Yep, but you don't have to graph it because they gave you the 2 points to use.
Alright.
Yep, I am. I was just trying to show them that 34 was the same. Alright. Any other questions you guys have? If the test takes a long time, just so you know, if the test takes a long time and I have to collect the homework the next day, I might collect, if I have to, I'll collect the homework the following day, because my first goal is for you guys to get your test done. The second goal is to collect it. So just make sure that you know that. Any other questions about homework?